I think by the coming of the white man here in Africa, first of all, he took our land, and therefore most of our people suffered, because by taking our land, poverty entered in our country. And again, if we take
a high school history class in Nairobi, capital of Kenya, where the British ruled half a century and then departed.
Some of our people, let's say, if you are staying here,
Kenya is today a sovereign independent republic, with its colonial past no more than a chapter in the history book.
And therefore, by doing this, they destroyed our groups. And another thing is that, by the coming of the white man, by the coming of the white man.
Well, actually, I want you to sum up what you already said. Just give us
Let's see some points. What did you get? What did you get? What did you say?
First of all, when the Europeans came, they took most of what the Africans had, like land. They put limits to their old ways.
Kenya is one of 35 African nations which reclaimed their sovereignty in the decade of the 60s. But the past does not always die quickly. Sometimes it laps into the present and the future. Questions get asked, not always answered.
What does it mean? Is Kenya independent economically? No. That's the problem. What does it mean? Okay, as an individual, what does independence mean? What does independence mean to you as a person? Steve, what does it mean to you as a person?
What does independence mean to Steven Yambo? That is what we are to find out in the next half hour. For this is Steven's graduation day, a day in which his past, present, and future are all intermingled. In 1963, chance lifted Steven from a simple home in a far province and brought him to one of the finest schools in Nairobi. It was that same year that the Republic of Kenya took her seat in the General Assembly Hall of the United Nations. In such schools as Steven attends, the present generation of leaders was formed, the men who made the revolution. Now the next generation's lawyers, doctors, cabinet ministers sit at these desks and look on these blackboards. They learn African history at Starehe now, not only European. But the routine still bears the unmistakable stamp of a British public school, that is to say, a private school. The teachers are both African and European, but the exam papers still go back to Cambridge to be marked. The director of Starehe is Geoffrey Griffin.
Steven Yambo came to Starehe in 1964, so he's been with us now 6 years. His case is fairly typical of a good many boys here. He is fatherless. Father died a long time ago, and the mother is desperately poor, lives about 250 miles away from here near Lake Victoria, and leads a life which is on the verge of destitution.
Steven knows how far he has come.
I never had any future of education. And should I say, I never had any future. I never thought that I would one day write my final exam or hope to be anything. The environment in which I grew was really painful. I had very little to rely on. I had very little to hope for. But having gone to Starehe, this changed greatly. Because at Starehe we were given everything that any rich father could offer his child.
He was made a house prefect in June 1968, and within 4 months became a school prefect with major responsibility for the welfare and good discipline of other boys. And as you now know, he is captain of the school and the leading boarder within the school. So he has done extremely well.
I feel that my relationship with Mr. Griffin is filled with a lot of admiration and respect, not only as a headmaster, but as a father to some extent, because I first came to Starehe when I was very young, and there before I hadn't had enough of parental care. I didn't have all that parental love. So when I grew up, when I came to realize that I'm a person, when I came to realize that I hold some space in the society, the only person I found taking decisions and starting an idea has been Mr. Griffin always.
The dormitory itself it's not a dormitory to me. I mean, it's just, I sometimes take it as being, a home. I've been so much used to my cubicle that I feel it's a room. It's my room as such.
At 12:15, we ring the bell for the end of morning school. Although if your form teacher is still at work, he may keep you for longer. And when you have finished your morning school, take your chairs to the assembly hall, and remember, only prefects cross the grass. The director was getting pretty upset yesterday about the track being driven across the grass. Only prefects cross the grass, others round. Chairs to the assembly hall at the end of morning school. You need not worry about sitting on your own particular chair. They won't be taken back today. They'll be taken back sometime next week and put in the correct classrooms according to the markings on the chairs. So all you have to do is take it across and put it where you're told. Then lunch, and at 10 minutes to 2, the warning bell.
I will sometimes go into bed in the dormitory in my clothes, without taking my clothes out, and I would lie on top of the bed. Not to cover myself with blankets, I would lie on top of the bed for quite a long time. And when I fell asleep, the cold wind during the night will wake me up at times, maybe around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the night, and I will not go to bed anymore. I would get out and go and read, maybe until daylight. I was assured that eventually if I read very hard, I shall eventually end a position able to support mother and the entire family, because that's what I used to be told when I was young.
After the plays, the director says his last words for the term, and we then have a short break until the leaving service, which is due at 4, followed immediately by the parade, and that is the end of the day.
But why was colonialism unpopular just less than 40 years after its introduction? With the Africans, for instance. Yeah, colonialism became very, very unpopular. Why? What part of your development did they neglect, for instance? Was there anything neglected, or was everything right except that you were kept away from the source of power? What things were neglected?
Our tradition.
Your traditions, what does that mean?
Our way of life.
Yes, explain yourself further. What is this?
I mean, at first, before the coming of the white man, the Africans had their own way of living. They had their way of fighting and playing and dancing and so on. And therefore, by the coming of the white man, he abolished this. And by so we gain education, by educating Africa.
Okay, what he has just said is this, that with the coming of the Europeans, African culture, such a way of dancing and singing and so on, suffered. These were discouraged. Is that correct? Yes, in many ways it was correct. Any other disadvantage?
Stephen Tom Agada Yambo. Francis Peter Kamel Ugwe.
Now this involved a change in attitudes. Our attitudes had to change. This time we had to get up early in the morning as the clock struck 6 to start work at 7 and end at 4. Now in the past we used to work, say, from 4:30 in the morning to about 10 o'clock because it was cool. Thereafter we went and relaxed and came back later. This involved a change of attitudes. Now, private ownership of property also involved an introduction of money in our own ways of life, and therefore we had to look for money. Did we have money of our own?
Money?
Yes. No, so we had to work for it. And the only person who provided us with money was the European. Therefore, we became dependent very much on the European, whether we like it or not. That's what it was. And the result is the complaint he raised here, which has always been raised also in other places. That is why perhaps African nationalism arose.
I charge you never to forget the great benefits you have received in this place, and in time to come, according to your means, to do all that you can to enable others to enjoy the same advantage. And remember that you carry with you, wherever you go, the good name of Starehe. May God Almighty bless you in your ways and keep in you the knowledge of his love, now and forever. Well, for the sake of any new boys who are here, and for a few new day boys, I think, let me just go through the rules of Baraza, which are very simple and easy to learn. Inside this room, you may ask any questions you like to me or to whoever is supporting me, which today is Mr. Gikubu. You can ask about your school, you can ask about anything that is worrying you or troubling you, or you can ask about any question under the sun that you like, What you say in this room cannot be held against you outside. Let me ask a question of you. We appointed a great many new prefects beginning of this week. How are they doing? Is the work going well and efficiently? Right, Gutiso's got his hand up. Let's hear what he's got. Yes, I want to ask Kathenji. What's up?
Why is the Minister of Education coming?
Why is the Minister for Education coming to see us? Well, as you know, I mentioned in parade the other day that he is coming next week, either Wednesday or Thursday. Why is he coming? He wants to come. He has expressed a wish to come and see us. Steve?
Yes, at this time I would like to ask you about self-reliance. During the colonial era, there are some colonial employees who never paid taxes, who never paid school fees to their children, who never bought food for their own ratio. These were all provided to him by his employer. And he never had any time in which to practice his own way of living. And when Kenya became independent, he was faced with the problem of standing on his feet and knowing how to use his own income. And this is quite a great problem. Now, I feel that this, to some extent, ties with Starehe. For one fact, if a boy in here, a boy is brought up within Starehe, he doesn't know how to farm, he doesn't know how to dig, he doesn't know how to look for his own food, compared with a boy who gets brought up in a rural area, who knows that without going to a garden in the morning, he won't have anything to eat. Without looking for some source of money, he won't have anything to wear. Now, what do you think about Starehe in future if most of us are going to be in this, and we may not know how to use our own God-given talents later on? What do you think of this?
I think that this school, perhaps more than any other in Kenya, teaches self-reliance. Not in the specific case you've quoted of teaching you how to go and grow food. We don't do this because we live in an urban community and because we have to face facts. You're going to have to get salaried jobs in the urban, industrial, commercial, civil service sectors of the economy. So this is why we don't dig and why we don't reap and why we don't sow. We can't. But when it comes to self-reliance, if you compare Starehe with other schools, we do far more of our own work. If you go to the secondary school next door to us here, now it's only a day school, it's not a boarding school like us, but you count the number of servants that they have there. How many gardeners do they have, Mr. Kikubu? 5 gardeners, 5 full-time men employed on their little compound. How many have we got? 2. And our compound is 5 times the size. Who does all the rest of the work? You do. You do. In that school, do they sweep their own classrooms? They don't sweep their own classrooms, eh? When the bell rings, they pack up their books and say, off we go home. Who sweeps our classrooms here? You do. And your dormitories, and your laboratories, and everything else that is here. All of this, although it may seem tough, and sometimes you may get a bit peevish about it, is teaching you self-reliance. Have I convinced you? Thank you. Yes, please do, Mr.
dressed in suits and tatters, bow ties, pipes, ochred sheets and earrings, all thinking of things to come. Africa is in a state of opportunity. All look for easy chances, of self-upliftment or undeserved promotion, that often mirage further and further, making frustrate minds that should be content, without the dreams of splendid days. But the peasant, the pillar of the nation, has only to cope with prices that shift like the waves that rock the ship, carrying yellow maize to the city. The employed call out strikes that only deplete the little funds that may relieve the peasant. The elder brother keeps the younger in hunger. At home, if there's any, the child plays with an empty bottle, cries for more milk. When the cost is daily on the rise, while incomes remain static, and the higher brackets are daily filled by youths that will not retire within this century. The child laughs gaily, displays its only 4 teeth, that show it grows to eat, unaware of all that shapes her decade. Now that's where the bitterness of the whole poem comes in at the end. The image used there is of a child. What's particular about a child? Why do you think he finishes with a child? Why a child and not an adult? What's different? Steve?
I think the child is helpless. I mean, depends. I mean, a child expects something from somewhere else, not very well aware of where it comes from.
Yeah. What does this mean? Displays its only 4 teeth that show it grows to eat, unaware of all that shapes her decade.
In this poem, it makes you feel as if there are 2 classes of people around here, peasants and other type of people, because he's talking of a peasant in a very different way. It shows as if there are a group of people who are peasants like it used to be in other places. But there is nothing like that. Here you can be a peasant today, and in 2 years' time you are one of the guys who are wearing the bow tie. It means although they have the money, the country as a whole is not grown because such people haven't started knowing what is right and what is wrong. It doesn't mean the place is bad or something like that. Just suggests it is young, it is growing.
What part of your development did they neglect? Was there anything neglected, or was everything right except that they kept away?
I think that the school, perhaps more than any other in Kenya, teaches self-reliance.
Therefore, we became dependent very much on the European, whether we like it or not. That's what it was.
I charge you never to forget the great benefits you have received in this place.